Welcome to A Trekzone Conversation. Matt Miller with you at Trekzone HQ. Well, I'm very excited for the last but by no means least guest in my segment of Where Are They Now? Star Trek fan filmmakers. Mr. Gary O'Brien is standing by to have a chat.
Beaming around the world for over 500 episodes. Now on Facebook Watch, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. This is A Trekzone Conversation.
And Gary's beaming in now. Gary, thanks so much for your time, my friend.
Hey, no problem. Glad to be here, man.
Now, it's been a little while since we've had a chat. You wrapped up the Holy Core a couple of years ago now, 2019. So what's been happening?
Yeah, what has been happening? A whole lot of stuff. Not too much Star Trek stuff, unfortunately. Apparently there's a computer virus going around or something. I heard something about a virus.
No, I think it's a real world one, this one.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard much about it, so.
Yeah, it just, I remember cutting the year in review for the full-time work in TV news. It just dominated all of that, all of the wrap-ups of the year. No matter where you were in the world, it dominated the year in review. Just an absolute smashing it gave everyone in 2020.
Yep, it sure did.
How did you fare through it all?
Yeah, not too bad. I had a bit of a down spiral at the start of it all. I kind of didn't have any work for a couple of months, which wasn't great, but luckily it kind of picked up again. And so, yeah, I seem to be kind of back to normal, maybe even slightly over capacity at the moment. So yeah, you know, what a weird world, huh?
It's funny how that all works, really, doesn't it? I remember talking with Tom Costantino at the end of last year about the effect of the pandemic and how everything just shut down. You couldn't plan for the shutdown, and then you really kind of couldn't plan for how you'd come out on the other side. And you know, hearing that you're too busy now is such a good thing, really. You know, going through that dark time, especially for the UK that suffered quite a lot in the beginning, to hear that you're back on your feet and working over capacity is fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I certainly think so. But like you say, a lot of people didn't know what was happening. A good friend of mine, he used to drive one of the iconic black cabs in London, and he's just completely screwed. So, you know, it's completely random who got affected badly and who got affected well, or, you know, just it was a complete non sequitur as to where you ended up, you know, as a result of the old virus.
Well, on the fan film front, is there any news for you, Gary? Do you have any dreams or things in the pipeline for a new fan film?
If you'd asked me that a couple of, I don't know, maybe even a month ago, I probably would have just said no, not really. But within the last month or so, I've slowly got the stirrings of the potential maybes of a new fan film brewing up. It's very early days, I would say that, and I would also add that if indeed I do go ahead with something, I think for a multitude of reasons, I'm leaning more and more towards looking at doing something that's maybe completely animated.
Okay.
For a couple of reasons, one of which I haven't done that before, so that's, you know, something new for me. And two, you know, with all the virus and all the rest of it, it looks like the easiest way to still kind of produce something new and original, because it effectively can all be done remotely. The idea of planning to raise money and then do all the craziness of casting and sets and costumes and travel and locations and, you know, all that stuff, I don't frankly have enough confidence in the world right now to put all the time and energy and effort into something that could easily just keep getting cancelled left, right and centre. So I figure if I'm going to do something else, then if it's animated, then all I really need to do is kind of cast some people and get people that can record their own voices in their own houses or studios. And then the rest of it I can just do, you know, slowly but surely, but on my own. So yeah, I'm thinking animated for those kind of reasons, if indeed I do anything.
That is very cool. Well, is there an inkling on where you're going to sit in the Star Trek universe?
Not really. I mean, being animated, it can be anything, I guess. But honestly, I'm kind of thinking if I do it, I'll probably do TNG era again. That made sense for me last time because I had, the actual real world costumes and props and sets and stuff already, but obviously that doesn't matter now. But somehow I just feel more settled there. TOS looks like it's been done so much, and they even have their own animated cartoon of old, of course. And of course, I guess there's Lower Decks now that's TNG era. But I don't know, I just seem to have settled on that. So unless some outside reason changes my mind, then I'll probably just default to that. And why not?
And it is such a rich tapestry, even though, it's interesting. We talk about prequels and stuff like that, but TNG is an era. We saw that part of the universe for 7 years, but we never really dove into it. It was always just the Enterprise on a mission of the week. So there is so much happening in those 7 years across the Alpha Quadrant, let alone the rest of the galaxy as well. Plenty of stories to be told.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I figure,
And hundreds of ships in the fleet as well, every single one of them doing something else aside from the Enterprise D that was always there. Well, Gary, it is looking like 2021 is going to be a better year than the black hole of last year. It's fantastic to hear that a new fan film's on the horizon. I guess that it's part of that. I guess that's my next question. What is it about Star Trek fan films that draws you back in? You're busy with work at the moment, but there's still a desire to make a fan film. What's driving you?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I've kind of wondered that myself, to be honest. It's one of those ones you kind of occasionally think, it's a lot of work and kind of, why? But I think as a filmmaker, you kind of like to make a film. It's always, every now and then you just kind of get the yearning to do it again, even though you kind of question your sanity once you've decided to. But as for why it's a Star Trek film, I don't know. I suppose for me at this point, there's this little bit of an audience there. I've made lots of films before the Star Trek ones that just get, none of the audience comparatively compared to the Star Trek ones, because obviously Star Trek is a big thing that people gravitate towards. And so it's like, well, if I'm going to make a film, it'd be kind of, nice to make one where I can pretty much guarantee it's going to get at least some kind of decent viewership at the end of all the hard work. And being a big fan of Star Trek, it just kind of gels together, So yeah, I think that's probably the best explanation I've got for why, I keep going back to Star Trek.
Well, yeah, when we first met, when you were making Chance Encounter, or Chance Encounter had released, it was we talked about that, about why Star Trek, and that original story wasn't a Trek spec story, which turned into it. Is Chance Encounter still being watched? Are you still receiving the feedback on your very first Trek fan film?
Yeah, I am. It's amazing. I get at least a comment or two a day. It seems almost at least 5 or 6 a week, whatever that. Do the maths on that, I don't know. But it's both films still seem to be, they're just there in the background, and there's a comment, kind of every day on average. And I think like literally almost always positive. Like 99% positive, and even ones that you could say are negative, they're not really. They're just kind of constructive criticism or something, which is great and very welcome. So yeah, they just sit there slowly doing their thing up on the old YouTube.
And that's the best part I find as well, is that with these films, they stay relevant, and new people come along, as you say, almost daily, finding content. I know my fan film, Once More with Feeling, is still getting views. It's constantly in the top 10 of the last 28 days on the channel. So it's a special kind of film to make. As you say, there's an audience there. People keep coming back for it, which is really fascinating, if I could coin a phrase.
Yes, it's very fascinating. I completely agree.
Fantastic, Gary. Well, look, we're going to stay in touch throughout the year as the idea develops. I mean, in 2019, we did From Idea to Premiere for the Holy Core. Let's do something again. Let's stay in touch as this as yet untitled production continues to ferment in your brain cells.
Yes, it's in there somewhere.
Fantastic. Gary O'Brien, where are you now? Thanks so much for your time. Looking forward to hearing more from you in the very near future.
Thanks, Matt.